Hi Samira, hi Stevie. Welcome to my vlog. I'm finally vlogging, and I think that this is a great way for us to feel like we're just having a chat about all the geeky stuff that we love. So, yes, it is very cold in Canberra. To give you an example of that, I think it was about 3 degrees when my mother got up to cycle to work this morning. And that is actually considered quite warm. I think it was about -4 last week when she did the same thing. So it's fucking cold and you don't want to be here. Okay, so today I am going to do a Bones vlog. It's going to be all about Bones. Because I know, Stevie, that you've started watching the first season and it's a great show. It just wrapped its sixth season actually a couple of weeks ago, and it's left a few things very ambiguously, which is very Bones. So I'm looking forward to the next season to see what happens, but more on that later. So today I'm going to talk about the series of books that the Bones series was based on, and this is the first book in the series. It's called Deja Dead, and it's written by Kathy Reichs, who actually is a forensic anthropologist, and she works in the state of North Carolina, I think, for the medical examiner there. So she knows her shit. It's This is the first book in the series. As I said, I think there's about 15, so this one is like about 15 years old now, maybe actually. And there's one coming out later this year. So in this book, we get introduced to the character of Dr. Temperance Brennan, who is actually features in all of Kathy Reich's novels and who is a forensic anthropologist as well, but she's working in Quebec. And at the start of the book, we follow her on a sightseeing tour of Montreal when she gets called into a historical burial ground to check out a garbage bag full of bones that they've discovered there, which clearly does not belong. So Tempe to the scene. She's able to ID the bones as that of a young girl who's only been dead for approximately 6 months. So the case becomes the ME's case, and Tempe takes it on. So for me, this is where I think the book really gets interesting, and the series as a whole. So we follow Tempe and her scientific process in discovering small facts about the case that then lead to be larger facts and help her to solve the case in the end. So, for example, the scene that I'm talking about, particularly in this book, Tempe is looking at striations on a bone, and she's able to discern exactly what weapon was used and how it was used, and then connect that to a series of other cases that have come through the office in the last year that point to a serial killer. So it's plot wise, it's a really great book, and I think that the science is really something that holds it up. If you like crime science, you'll definitely be into this series. If you're like me and you don't really like true crime, but you like the science, this is as close as you're going to get. Kathy Reichs has done a lot of this stuff herself before, and as I say, the science is almost faultless. So one other thing that I wanted to say about this series is that I think that Tempe is a really great character, and I think that um, I would definitely encourage, if you are interested, to start from the beginning of this series of books and work your way through, because I think the character development, especially for Tempe, is something that is a real strength of this series. And I think that when you have a character that you want to see succeed so badly because you believe in them, it makes a book not put downable. So definitely, I would say I would recommend this highly. And out of A, don't bother. B, I'm just gonna rent the Bones DVD instead. And C, maybe you should just get over yourself because the science in this book is fucking awesome. I'm gonna give it 4 C's. So Kathy Reichs, go for it. Okay, so this brings me to the next segment in my vlog, which is also going to be about Bones today. I am going to talk a little bit about the TV show, and then I'm going to share a song with you that I was inspired to write recently. So the sixth season of the show Bones, which airs on Fox, just wrapped a couple of weeks ago now, and the last episode was called A Change in the Game. I'm not going to give too much away, except to say if you haven't seen the show before, there is a big focus on Dr. Temperance Brennan and her partner at the FBI, Dr. Seeley Booth, who doesn't actually appear in the novels, even though there is some agents who could possibly be inspired, Booth could be inspired by, but it's quite different. But anyway, so in the television show, Booth and Bones have this long-standing sexual chemistry driven mutual respect, deep emotional love relationship, but they've never actually got it on. Now, I think this happens in a lot of television shows, and I think that it can be a curse sometimes if it's not handled right. But I think that we need to start figuring out a way to handle it, because a lot of television shows fall to this curse. I can think of a couple. The X-Files, Castle at the moment is suffering from the same thing. I think Community actually did a really interesting thing with Jeff and Britta, and then Jeff and Annie, and I think they handled that sexual tension really well. But obviously that's a very different show to Bones. So in Bones so far, and as I said, I don't want to give too much away, but they've actually tried to find a couple of ways where they could put Bones and Booth in a position that might suggest that they had a deeper relationship, have a deeper relationship than they actually do, and have allowed them to cross some of those barriers short term, given some temporary writing structures. And I think as an audience member, you know, a little bit of that is okay, but too much can get quite frustrating, and I think that's the point that it's gotten to now, for me anyway. So I'm gonna share this little song for you that I wrote, and this is my argument for the Bones and Booth relationship for next season, and I really hope that they go this way. So this song is called Bones and Booth, You Need to Sort Your Shit Out. FBI Special Agent Seeley Booth, forensic anthropologist Dr. Temperance Brennan, but that's Bones to you. They find a decomposed body in a compromised locality, and Bones says, better take this back to the lab. The squints, they do their science thing, Boothie does his agent thing, Bones takes something literally, they eye-sex and solve the case. That's how it always goes. But lately they can't concentrate on crime scenes, forensics and interplay, 'cause their way long overdue relationship always gets in the way. Bones and Booth, you gotta sort your shit out. I can't wait 6 more seasons reading fanfic in my underwear on the couch. Bones and Booth, just sort your freaking shit out, so I can get back to crime scene procedural, science experiments and mandibles. Team Bones for the win. The change in the game, it better be a change all the same. 'Cause how many times can they kiss under mistletoe in character in a dream? See, Booth knows that Bones knows that Booth said I love you, and Bones knows that Booth knows that Bones, she feels it too. So the parts in the sum of the whole, they don't add up, and every episode I feel more like giving up. And then that coma relationship seriously, Bones Riders. I enjoyed it, but what was that? Bones and Booth, you better sort your shit out. I can't waste 6 more seasons reading fanfic in my underwear on the couch. I really do that. Bones and Booth, just sort your freaking shit out, so I can get back to crime scene procedural, handguns, experiments, and mandibles. Team Bones, Team Bones, for the win. Win. So challenge time. Stevie gave me a challenge last week to find a politician in Canberra that I liked and get a photo with them, or find one that I didn't like and heckle them. So I wasn't sure how to go about this actually, because I didn't have a lot of time and I don't really know where politicians hang out. But what I did do is I saw a documentary on Four Corners last week that was about the live export trade, and I think that issue is just kind of exploded in Australia at the moment. So what I did was I found my local MP and I emailed him, and I sent him a quite abusive email about how I felt about live exports and that they should be stopped. And this is my evidence that he got back to me. This is MP Andrew Lee. He wrote to let me know that the live cattle export has been suspended for 6 months to Indonesia. So there's a lot of stuff going on about this at the moment, though. If you are interested, you can go to a couple of different websites. I might actually put them down here. And yeah, so I hope that fulfilled the challenge for this week. I will do better next week. My challenge for you today is I think that we need some kind of theme song, and I would like to take some submissions for creative work, i.e., possibly epic poetry, rap, any kind of lyrics really, on why you think you're a geek and why you like being a geek and what being a geek means to you, or a nerd, or the difference between them, or write me, just give me some lyrics. I love you guys and I miss you, and next week I'm going to talk a little bit about Weeds. Weeds is going into its 7th season later this month, so I'm really excited. They ended on a really crazy note last season, as they usually do. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and I'm going to start a segment called What Would Nancy Botwin Do, where I assess problems and issues in my life, and I think about what Nancy's take on those might be, what she might say to me, how she might deal with some of those problems. And Stevie and I maybe have something coming up on Rosolian Isles later in next week. And I hope that I get to talk about my fangirl obsession with Sasha Alexander. So that should be coming up. I'm excited about that. And next week, I'm going to talk about how I used fangirling to actually make some improvements in my life. So I'll explain more about that next week. I love you guys. Bye.